Go Loser Ranger, or Ranger Reject as many fans have called it originally, is probably one of the best and most underrated new-gen manga I have ever read. And what's crazy is that the anime has recently come out, and it's finally starting to get some attention. Now, this video isn't me telling you to go watch the anime, but you definitely should. It's actually a very good adaptation. But I'm going to give you guys an idea of why you should read Go Loser Ranger, as this series, in its entirety, is not what I or many others expected upon first reading, as even with the anime, it's only scratched the surface of what the manga will later on reveal to hook you into the story like it has done for me and many others. But before we jump into this video, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. Really helps and shows you guys enjoy the content I make here on the channel and shows you want to see more. I'm trying to get back into manga recommendation videos, so I figured this would be the best one, as this is probably one of my favorite weekly manga that I am currently reading, and I just want to share more of it with all of you. And if you have any other manga you'd like me to talk about, let me know in the comments below. With that out of the way, let's jump right into things. So 13 years ago, a giant flying fortress appeared in the middle of the city, and invaders ended up coming to the surface world to try and take over the planet. That is until the Dragon Keepers appeared and began to fight them back. And so humanity and the Dragon Keepers have been on a never-ending war against these invaders. And every Sunday, the Sunday Showdown, the invaders come down to face off against the Dragon Keepers, who continuously push them back without any losses. They're truly the brave heroes that the Earth needs. At least that's what they want you to believe. If you've been watching the anime or once you jumped into the manga, once you know about this whole Sunday Showdown event and everything going on in the stadium, you think all of this is fake, and it is. After the invaders originally came and the Dragon Keepers were formed, they essentially defeated the invaders almost immediately, killing their bosses, and basically giving the invading dusters, the foot soldiers essentially, an ultimatum. Either die now, or just continuously pretend to invade the Earth and get purposely defeated by the Dragon Keepers for basically all time. And that's what's been going on for the past 13 years. Every Sunday, the invaders have to come up with a new, original idea to be transformed into a fake boss and battle the Dragon Keepers every week in order to keep up the illusion that the Dragon Keepers are fighting off invaders. Now, obviously, this is the base plot point to get you into the story from episode 1 of the anime and chapter 1 of the manga. Now, upon hearing of this synopsis, you'd think, okay, this is just The Boys meets Power Rangers. And you're not wrong, at least on the surface level. While this base scenario of heroes not being who they say they are and being kind of psychopaths and kind of very shitty people underneath those masks, that does seem like something that The Boys would do, especially with how commercialized the Rangers are. Having their own brand deals, going on commercials, recruiting people to become independent Rangers or part of their own garrisons. That is something that you probably would expect something to happen with The Boys, and have them be celebrities, being paid, all that stuff. And our main character is one of these invading subordinates, Fighter D. Now, D is probably one of the best characters in this entire series. He starts off as a cocky weakling who just wants revenge. He's tired of being this guy that just puts up with this act every single week. He's tired of the humiliation. He wants world domination. He wants to take out the Rangers. And to do that, he wants to infiltrate the Ranger Force to get a good opportunity to fight and kill the Dragon Keepers. He ends up meeting characters like Sakurama and Suzukiri. These are two incredibly important characters for D's development and the story going forward, as their own plot points and interactions end up wildly expanding the world of Loser Ranger and giving us some nice, interesting insights into how this world operates. Sakurama is someone who wants to fight for justice, but also recognizes that the Rangers are a sham. He wants to coexist with monsters. He doesn't want everyone to just exist in this countless war. Meanwhile, Suzukiri essentially just wants chaos. She's tired of the Rangers and she wants to get rid of them, and she wants to take the Divine Tools. With the anime, we have seen D essentially try and infiltrate the Rangers, and a bunch of stuff ensues. Now, if you've seen the anime, or you just listened to me ramble up to this point, the baseline story seems relatively safe. It doesn't seem anything too big or interesting. But that's by design. That's how it is on the surface, because by the time the current arc of the anime, which is the White Dragon's Nest arc, comes to an end, we have a major shift in the story. We get massive plot reveals, we get big ramifications for the story moving forward. And at the end of the day, we get to see what this series is at its core. A mystery thriller manga. Now you wouldn't expect that based off of the boys-like comparisons and Fighter D being kind of oblivious, ignorant guy who is headstrong going forward but is learning to control himself, and the wacky shenanigans that ensue through his behavior and actions. But that's by design, because it's meant to lull you into a false sense of security. Loser Ranger is a mystery series. Throughout this entire manga, even through the anime, if you go back and pay attention, you see some inconsistencies with the dialogue, like the year things happened, or how specifically the events occurred. We also get some really interesting ways of how the Rangers deal with things, and character motivations and actions that don't seem quite right, or might be more to them. And past the point of the anime we're at right now, it becomes more evident that the mystery takes a larger priority. We see mysterious organizations holding things back in the background. The mystery of who Red Keeper is and why he's so psychotic and why they can't just replace him for whatever reasons. We get to learn more about the other Dragon Keepers, their juniors, as well as the development of how the Dragon Keepers are. Suzukiri is also one of the most mysterious characters in the series, and when you learn who she is, you will have your jaw dropped. Your mind will be blown. Especially as this progresses, we learn more about who the Rangers are, the creation of the Rangers, and potentially more truths about the invaders and their bosses. All with some insane action sequences, some really cold and honestly really cool looking panels, and great pieces of artwork that you just want to make these into your goddamn wallpapers. Different factions for different characters end up forming. We see moral dilemmas, complexity within the interactions between other characters, and personal relationships. D is at the core of all this, and throughout the story, he does change, he does develop his worldview and way of thinking, his own thought processes, wants, and needs. Everything gets changed or altered by what he sees. What does he truly want, and how does he want to achieve his goals? That makes things interesting, and his way of interacting with people makes him all the more fun to see and even root for. Not to mention all the other side characters that we end up learning about throughout the series. And the manga is still ongoing. We had answers to a lot of these mysteries that also ended up giving us bigger mysteries for us to theorize about and try and discover and make our own conclusions. The author doesn't think you're an idiot. He respects your intelligence and sees you wanting to figure things out on your own, giving you a trail of breadcrumbs to end up finding out what is going to happen in the series. And I like that. Going from something that seems to be fairly predictable to something that is completely out of left field and not what it originally seems on the surface. Also, like I was mentioning with the artwork is just amazing, especially in the action sequences, wide landscaping shots, or just specific images of the characters just being cool or big, impactful moments. This series knows how to shock you, whether it be through visual storytelling or through specific information given to you. The mangaka, Negi Haruba, is a legitimate genius when it comes to this. And you know what's interesting? Go Loser Ranger, this big mystery series, this thriller, this action shonen, with some really cool and interesting ideas, was actually the mangaka of the quintessential quintuplets. You heard me right, if you did not know this, the mangaka for Loser Ranger originally penned the quintessential quintuplets, a harem rom-com that I love so much. It is probably the only harem rom-com in existence that I not only laughed, but also felt emotional and cried towards. I can make an entire video on that to begin with, but that is insane that I actually like a harem rom-com. And the fact that he did that before coming in and doing Loser Ranger, a complete change in genre and tone from that series, and doing it masterfully. Now, I don't know if this is true, but apparently Loser Ranger was what Haruba wanted to do when he was getting into manga. But when he was signed on to Weekly Shonen Magazine, which is where Loser Ranger is on, and where quintuplets was being made, they wanted him to do a rom-com, as they needed a rom-com for the magazine. I don't know how true this is, I cannot verify this. But if that's the case, he made a freaking rom-com harem. Made it good. And then when that was done, he did what he wanted to do. And it's also really good. That shows the testament of a good writer and somebody that knows what they're doing. Being able to do two different genres and different ways of telling a story back to back it's incredible. Most people who end up doing a romance series a lot of times tend to stick with a romance or even a comedy. Same thing as to why a lot of action series end up having their creators do other action series. Now, that's not entirely true. Many mangaka dabble in various genres, but there's always something that they are specifically talented in going to do for whatever series they do. With Haruba, it just seems to work out. And here's the thing, he's good at panel work. He knows when to put in double page spreads. He knows when to be silly. He knows when to just let the room breathe. He also knows when to pile in a crap ton of action, intense thrilling moments, as well as not letting you breathe in certain sections because things are hype, as well as a non-stop barrage of just incredible scenes with great character writing. Loser Ranger, I'm just going to say this, it's not perfect. Some of the comedy, especially at the beginning, can be hit or miss. And at the beginning, while there are some great moments, it does feel like there's a bit of a lull at the beginning when it comes to the relative shift in the narrative from what you initially suspect. But when you stick through it, you can see the vision, you see what this series truly is, and you're in it for a long haul. Right now in the manga, we're in a time skip right now, and the world has changed. So many things, from alterations from the arc beforehand, a massive world-shaking arc, shaking up most of the status quo and how the characters have grown throughout the series. And it's insane, and it's incredible, and in the future, I want to talk about it. But for now, I can see that it might not be for everybody, and you might get bored within the opening chapters getting into the White Dragon's Nest arc, as it's not at the start, action after action, but it does kind of slowly build things up until we get non-stop thrilling moments for a good section of it, and then we get to breathe for a bit. But that's really all I gotta say about Loser Ranger for right now, because if I talk anymore, I'm going to spoil the ever-loving shit out of it, and I don't want to because I want to make those other videos for the future, and I also don't want anime onlys to be incredibly spoiled. But I'm just going to leave you off with this. The artwork for the manga is amazing. Once you get into it, the pacing is actually relatively well done. We have great jaw-dropping and thrilling moments, big reveals, Dee's development is honestly incredible, we got some really good comedy, and the ever-expanding cast of side characters is interesting. There are people you love, there are characters that you love to hate or hate that you love. And there's just so many things that keep me gravitated to wanting to read this series more. And I do feel like if you give this series a good shot, this will be one of your all-time personal favorites. Now, my fanboying aside, what did you guys think of this video? Are you interested in giving Loser Ranger's manga a shot? Are you already an anime only and watched this video and are now reaffirmed in your belief that this series could be something great? And if you are an anime only, what are you liking about the anime so far? What's your favorite part? Who's your favorite character at the moment? And manga fans, how do you feel about the anime's adaptation right now? And right now in the manga, who is your favorite character? And how do you feel about the manga as a whole right now? Tell me in the comments section down below, as well as what other things you'd like me to talk about, whether it involves this series or even others anime and manga. If the video does well, and if I do end up having the time, I might make videos on Loser Ranger every now and again. Whether I cover the actual manga chapters, that's still up in the air. I don't think I will, but I would love to somewhere down the line if I have time. But with all that said and done, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe, hit the notification bell for updates, and with all that said and done, I hope you all have an awesome day.